And I mean, it's like for him to be, I mean, like I said, there's no question when you watch that video that he is gay. He has the mannerisms, he has
Yep.
he's very soft spoken, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
everything that a gay guy has.
And you can't always tell by the behavior, too. Sometimes you'll have a butch gay guy that you think is straight until they tell you, and it shocks you.
But with him, it's like the one thing that drew me in more to watch more of his videos was the fact that he knows the Bible and he stands by the Bible.
Yep.
Even in his situation, he gave up the lifestyle because he wanted God more than he wanted that.
Right. And I mean, I'm going to raise my hand and say it's totally unfair. I have seen people in the worst of situations suddenly flip on a switch and they don't look back.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And yet I've also seen people, myself being one of them, who seems to claw and fight every morning and every day against things that are 20, 30 years in my past. And you do it. It's not, it's not I'm going to take a bye day, God, or, I realize it's not for me to fall off the train. And it's like, by the grace of God, there go I. So
pick up your cross.
There's a tremendous sympathy out there. It's very easy to speak those words. It's very hard if you're not walking in someone else's shoes.
No, I'm saying as long as you keep on picking up your cross each day and you keep walking in it.
Yep. Yeah. But let's face it, we talk about it like it's a fun thing to do, and it's not. When Christ said pick up your cross, he was talking about an instrument of Roman torture and death. All right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't the neat little crucifix we all wear around our shirts.
Get smoked by J-Pound.
Before you rush, you need to flush. What? What I mean is, before you start your normal daily routine, wake up to a tall drink of water. That first glass will help flush out whatever toxins that settled in overnight and wakes up your organs. It's also better than a cup of coffee to shake off grogginess and get you energized right off the bat. Help kick your metabolism into gear and start the day hydrated. And while we're on the subject, starting the day with a glass of water also helps you feel full so you won't rush to the donuts as soon as you step inside the office. Stay hydrated, stay healthy, and remember, there can't be smoke without fire, so let's light it up.
Go to Smoke Show Fitness on Facebook or contact Smoke Show Fitness for personalized nutrition and fitness coaching. 405-240-1807.
I got my
Mojo 50.
I got my mojo working out.
Live free.
I got my mojo working. I got my mojo working out. But it just won't work on you. I got my mojo working. But I just don't know what to do, y'all.
What's the question, Diane?
How, as Christians, as this conversation was supposed to be about, how are you supposed to treat LGBTQ?
Not with approval, but with love, grace, and understanding.
Absolutely. Okay, how do you separate the approval from treating them as a human being, which they are, and love, and like the What I want to say here is hate the sin, love the sinner.
Love the sin. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which isn't in the Bible, but
how do you do that? How do Christians do that in this case? Because I don't see it.
You've already demonstrated this yourself with somebody else who had issues here recently and ended up basically being locked into a addiction treatment facility for a week here recently. You don't go through the different behaviors and stuff that you believe would show approval for them individual behaviors. You know who I'm talking about, right, Diane? I'm not going to name them on this show.
Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about. And I know exactly what you're talking about.
You pulled back in the one instance where you believed that the participation would be harmful for that person if you was involved at that level, but you were still there for everything else, weren't you?
Yes.
That right there's a big answer to that question.
Okay, so how about this? LGBTQ keeps it in the bedroom, you don't know. Then it's no big problem. You wouldn't know, there wouldn't be a problem, right?
Technically, everyone. Right.
But in that instance, then that means that they would have never been public enough to have a union or marriage that would be public and everything else. If you're doing total concealment, you can't ever treat anybody for what you don't know they're like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's a matter of acceptance would be saying, oh, that's okay, this, that, and the other, right? I mean, like I said earlier, would you allow your kid to hit you, cuss you, all these things, and then just say, that's okay? But you got to divide this up in two ways, Christian and non-Christian. Now, if you came to me as a Christian and you said, yeah, I like the same sex, then as a Christian, I am required, with both of us being Christians, to call you out on that and send you in the right direction. We are to rebuke it. A non-Christian, that's different. You're going to witness to them. You're going to try to, you're going to show love and everything else. You're not going to show acceptance. You can't show acceptance in this.
No. That's why whenever I said no acceptance, but understanding, because I believe that all of us have our hang-ups and our problems, and we all screw up every day in our own different ways. And everyone's path of sanctification is going to be different with different struggles.
Right. That's why I'm saying.
I fully believe that sometimes there's other things that God may want you to take care of first than other things. So although I will not approve of the homosexual behavior, if I see improvements everywhere else and you're starting to show fruit, as long as you're getting better, I'm just going to remind you, and I ain't going to give you hell over it.
Right.
But I am going to remind you once in a while, because there's a difference between a fully sanctified Christian and a saved one.
I would say that it would be treated like an alcoholic in the sense of you can't, just like he said on the thing, he walked away. When he made that choice, he walked away. He stopped. You can't, and I know it's hard.
Well, okay, just like he said, when he first talked with those Christians, because he had 20 years in L.A., had never seen anybody, holding a Bible, let alone
a
bunch of kids having a Bible study in a coffee shop. And they invited him to church. He asked that question. He said, so what do you think about homosexuality? And he said, if they wouldn't have told him, oh, it's a sin, we think it's a sin, you should come anyways, he said, forget it.
I'm not saying don't go to church. I'm saying you need to abstain. Do you see what I'm saying? That you can't quit drinking if you're not going to abstain. That means staying away from the alcohol, staying away from the gay clubs.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I believe in All right. I think Kinsey's right as far as everybody's sanctification is different, and we have to allow for that. If you don't,
Right.
then that's a blind spot you got. But
okay, but I understand that. But I'm also saying that it can't be months down the road, or a year, or 2 years, or 3 years, or whatever.
How long should it be? How do you measure it?
yeah,
I would say that they have to show that you have to see improvement. If you're not seeing any improvement, then there is no improvement.
So then you're being judging. You're being the judge then, and that's not your place.
If they're claiming to be a Christian, yes, it is.
No,
yes, it is. It is. You need to read your Bible. Yes, it is. We are to judge. We are to judge our brothers and sisters.
You're right, but you're talking church discipline when you're talking about.
No, I'm not talking church discipline. I'm talking. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you are to correct them. You are correct.
And if they rebuke your correcting, you are supposed to go out and get 2 or 3 brothers from the local church. Right, and approach them again.
Yes.
Now, you are not on a crusade alone. You can't do it alone.
There's a reason. There's a reason why this is a whole method that's in place in Scripture, and there's a reason why it's put in here like that. Because it doesn't just cut in one direction. It cuts the other direction sometimes too. So if you're not being the Christian person that you're supposed to be, as patient and gentle on some of these topics, them other brethren, whenever you go with them, is going to be your check. Just like it's going to be the check on them if you're fully right and they need that confrontation.
Okay, maybe you're not understanding what I'm saying. How many of these churches out here now literally have gay people in their
Oh, I realize there's
right.
That's why I left the Methodist Church.
Can I finish what I was saying?
Yeah.
They got them teaching, they've got them preaching, they've got them working different jobs in the church, they've got them doing praise and worship, all that kind of stuff. And to me, that should be the same line as a pastor. If you're up there teaching, your life better be in order. You have no business being I don't know what you would call them, like an employee. I guess we'll use the word employee for right now. If you are working for the church, doing something for the church, you have no business doing it until you have cleaned up your life. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
what kind of church are you talking about?
That would be for church members and leadership.
Let me go back to something that I mentioned in a
what were you saying?
Yeah, let me go back to something I mentioned in a previous episode that I was sure about, the whole Jesus revolution. I listened to one pastor who was saying that their biggest worry, especially with the LGBTQ issues of the day, is that we weren't going to have the same humility, compassion, and love that came out of their Jesus movement. He said, I knew guys who were Christians preaching to their churches, doing acid before they went out because they believed it made them closer to God. And he said it took them 4 or 5 years for it to get through their head that, this can't do this.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. There was nobody holding a time clock going tick-tock over them. It was just repetitive love and repetitive, like, hey, man, you got to really think about this. Is it getting it closer to God or not?
My thing is if I go to a church and the pastor is having an affair with his wife, or he's gay, or he's teaching false doctrine,
it's a bad church, you need to get out of it.
It's a bad church, you need to get out of it, but you also need to confront the church. You need to confront. Well,
you need to get out of the church.
I feel that it's because okay, look here. I'll give you a verse. How's that? Same week. Okay, Ezekiel 3. I'm going to read from part of 18. The same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hand. Yet if thou warn the wicked, and he not turn from his wickedness, nor his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity. But you are cleared, basically. If you do not warn a fellow brother or sister when you see that they are doing something wrong, you will have blood on your hands for not warning them. It is our responsibility.
Okay.
And that is someone who is professing to be a Christian. That is not just a stranger on the side of the road that you don't know what their belief is, that's doing something that they shouldn't be doing.
If you pulling that out of Ezekiel, that probably doesn't necessarily apply